Let's take a look at the blend shader and the metal shader in this case, and also let's talk about the shader basic parameters and also the shader parameters for the blend and metal. So I have our camera view zoomed into the teapot, and if I simply render this, this is what I'm getting. So if I go to my material editor over here, you can see that it's a standard material with the swirl applied to the diffuse color, and I've changed a few swirl settings over here. So if I double click on the standard material over here, let's concentrate on some of the shader basic parameters at first. Let's get this over here and let's get this in place. So the first thing we're going to see is a wire. So if I turn this to wire and if I render this, you can see it's rendering as wireframe. I can also turn on two-sided while being in wire mode, because you can see I can't see the back faces right now. So I can do that and hit render, and you can see the back faces. You can get the thickness of the wire up and down by going to this area under extended parameters. Then you also have something called faceted, which is pretty much going to render it as the faces. You can see it's all faceted over here, going this way. Also, face map is going to take that swirl map and apply it to every face. Then you have this as the blend shader, and these are some of the blend basic parameters with the ambient channel, diffuse. The ambient and diffuse are locked right now. You can unlock them. The diffuse has a map, as you can see, which is the swirl, which you can obviously see from the graph over here, but also from here. And also if you go down to maps, there's a swirl. Then you have self-illumination, which I turn it up right now, and if I render it, kind of nicely gives it a glowy feel. I also have opacity, and let's turn on two-sided over here and take the opacity down to like 21%. And that's the opacity. So the object is transparent right now. Then you also have, let's take it back up. The self-illumination can also have a color. If you just turn this checkbox on, you can just change the color. Then you also have the specular level on the object. Right now there's light falling on the object, but there's no specular highlight showing. So if I increase the specular level and the glossiness over here, you can see it's kind of suggesting how the highlight's going to be in that little picture right there. There you go, there I'm seeing some specular highlights over here. I can turn it up more, and you can see the spike has changed over here. It's kind of stretched a little more. Same thing for if I turn this object to a metal shader. I have the ambient, diffuse, self-illumination, all that. Then I have the specular level and also the glossiness. So let's take this guy down slightly and let's render it. And you can see it renders very differently, the metal object. So in most cases for metal, you would apply in the maps like a reflection map. So let's go to reflection map over here, and I can apply a bitmap, but in this case I'm just going to apply a ray trace. So if I just turn on ray trace over here, and if I render this, you can see that this object will start ray tracing everything in the environment. Let me turn off the swirl and let's take a look at this one more time, and there you go. So there's your metal basic parameters. We also looked at our shader basic parameters and also some of the blend parameters. And there's a whole bunch of other shaders over here which I would highly recommend go and check them out. So anisotropic is a really nice one. Phong is a really nice one. So please take your time and check those shaders out.